Alright, let's get started with a demo of the virtual desktop. The first thing you're going to notice is I'm on my local computer here. It is a Windows 10 PC. It could be any kind of device really to connect to the virtual desktop. There's support for iPads, tablets, Android devices, iPhones. You can connect using a Macintosh. There's a client for practically any type of operating system out there, even Linux. Once I install that client, you'll see that I have an icon here in the center of my screen called the VMware Horizon Client. I'm going to go ahead and launch that. The next thing you'll see here is a list of servers I have access to for the demo. I'm going to be accessing the Advanced 2000 demo environment. I'm going to go ahead and connect to that. You can also automatically connect to the same server every day, so you don't have to do that. Next, you have to log in here. Now, if you had single sign-on set up, your local Windows credentials would be passed through here and you wouldn't see this login because I'm in the demo environment. That's not the way I'm set up. So I have to put in my credentials. Once I do that, I log in, it shows me my virtual desktop. This is a professional advanced virtual desktop. I have a number of different options here. If I right click on that icon, I can restart it, reset it remotely. I can actually launch it. There are a number of different protocols to be able to connect to it. I can also set the display. So right now I'm going to set the display to Windows Large. So this will open up this virtual desktop in a window on my desktop so that you can see that I am on a computer running on another computer, or you'll see the difference between my local computer and my virtual desktop. So I right click, I launch, and you'll see that the virtual desktop opens up. It has a blue background. Mine had a black background. You'll see this large bar menu at the top. That will go away in a second. You'll notice that my taskbar is along the left side. The taskbar for the virtual desktop is along the bottom. So that's also another difference, so you can tell the difference between the two. If I actually pull this down, you'll see that my local computer is right behind it. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to full screen mode. So I do that by maximizing the window. When you connect to your virtual desktop, you can also have it use all of your available monitors, and it will connect across all of the available monitors in your system. One of the things to remember is if you're using 4K monitors, it is supported and you can use it. The thing that you have to be aware of is that it uses much more bandwidth than regular HD or QHD. So keep that in mind, but there is full support for 4K as well. So you notice that when I went into full screen, that all of a sudden that big banner menu at the top changed to a thin little bar. You can pin this bar down so that it will always remind you that the computer with the bar at the top is my virtual desktop and the other one is my local computer, in case you get confused, and I have gotten confused. Sometimes people will put a message on the background of their computer and they'll say virtual desktop, just to remind themselves that they're really in a virtual desktop. For me, it wouldn't be that hard because I have my taskbar on the side and this one's on the bottom. So I'm going to unpin that. You'll notice that I have a number of options, programs, applications loaded here. This is basically just a Windows operating system, just the same as my local computer. Really no different. I'm going to go ahead and launch browser for a second. Now this browser is connected to the Advanced 2000 Internet connection. So for instance, if I shot over to YouTube, you can see that there's a nice Biden-Harris ad that's running here, and you'll see that animation and everything else looks perfectly good. And if I turn the sound on, you would see that and hear that as well. So everything acts and functions just like a normal local computer. I'm going to go ahead and launch Revit for you. This VDI doesn't require a lot of bandwidth. Typically, we tell people between 2 and 5 megabits of bandwidth is required to run and operate the virtual desktop. Now, if you are using 4K monitors, obviously, then you're going to have a higher bandwidth requirement, but 2 to 4 megabits is fine. 2 to 5 megabits is fine to run a virtual desktop. Obviously, the more you have, the better. And also keep in mind that most of the traffic is going from the data center down to my local computer. The only thing going up from my local computer is mouse clicks and keyboard strokes. If you got enough bandwidth to run Netflix, that you'd have no problem at all operating a VDI. I'm going to open up a Revit file here. Now I realize that this file is a small one, but we don't have a lot of time here, so I don't want to wait and make you sit through the opening a very large Revit file. But just keep in mind that this virtual desktop is on a 10 gig backbone. Most networks nowadays are still 1 gig, so it is operating at 10 times that speed. This makes things like opening files and saving files a little bit quicker. If I lose connectivity to my virtual desktop, also keep in mind that this virtual desktop keeps running even though I've lost my connection to it. So now let's pretend that I go up here and that I actually lost connection to this virtual desktop. So I'm working in an airport or something and my Wi-Fi bugs out and I'm disconnected from that desktop. Or let's say I started working in the office and then I came home and I wanted to continue to work. So I have to log in again, put in my credentials again, launch again. Now it came back up in the window because it was set like that before. And you'll notice I'm at the same screen I was before. I'm going to go to full screen mode so that we see everything. And now I'm just going to do a couple of quick little things in Revit. I'm not very good at Revit. You guys are all probably much better at it than I am. Keep in mind that view horizon client is encrypting all of the traffic that goes back and forth and also compressing all the video signals. So it's almost like having a VPN connection set up to the virtual desktop. You don't have to worry when you're in a public location that anyone can do a man-in-the-middle exploit and get to any of your data stream. So right now I'm going to go ahead and add a wall. So I'm going to zoom in here. You'll see that the zooming is fluid. I'm going to go ahead and connect that. You'll see that it works, acts, feels, looks just like a regular desktop, even though it's a computer that is running a piece of software that's emulating a desktop computer in a data center across the country. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to a 3D view and I'm going to zoom in. You see that the zooming and panning is very fluid. No staggering, refreshing, or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and I can pan. You can see the panning is working normally. Feels normal to me too. The next thing I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to do an orbit so you can see as I orbit around this model. And I can zoom in and out. So basically that's really all I wanted to show you on the virtual desktop. Like I said before, if you wanted to, you could start working in the office. You could disconnect then from your virtual desktop, go home, and continue work there and take up right where you left off. All your files would be open and secured and saved the same state you left them when you disconnected. I hope that gives you an idea of how the virtual desktops work. I realize that it's not too sexy. It's just a Windows computer that you connect to remotely, but I wanted to show you how it performed And I think you can see by this demonstration that it looks, acts, and feels just like a computer that's sitting underneath your desk.